Oh, yeah, okay, because you also are
Mm-hmm.
on that side and you don't just want to throw technology at me for technology's sake, but you can help me find ways to use what's available to enhance the learning for the experience of the students.
You're listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro-AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for clicking on the button either on YouTube or in your podcast app that says the AV-IT Amplifier. And we are back for week 2 with my friend and now your friend, Mr. Mike McHugh of Goshen University.
Yeah, Goshen, yeah.
Goshen. See, I knew you said it in the first one, and I didn't remember. If a professional podcaster would now go back and redo that so it sounded like they knew it, but I believe in authenticity over professionalism. So I will leave it in there that I got that part wrong. Thank you for coming back for another week. Thank you for your time to talk, because the fun part is I think this is the longest you and I have actually had a conversation, which is actually really fun for me. I appreciate it. So please remind everybody, Mike, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, sure. Mike McHugh, and I work at Goshen College in northern Indiana, small school here, 900 students or so. And I work in ITS Media, so we're the audiovisual department of IT, and I handle all of the classroom technology, AV installations. We also do all the event support, and that includes streaming, athletics, and other campus events.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I appreciate all the stuff we went through in the first episode was very cool, because it really is. There's so many people in our we say industry or vertical or whatever you say it, that while there's people out there that are the UCLA's or the Texas school, the big schools and the thing. Most people have, what they work on sounds a lot more like what you work on than them, right? They're not managing teams of 50 people. They are, they're at a school that they've been at for a long time, and they are running and keeping it working. So thank you for being willing to share so much about kind of your experience. One of the things I wanted to follow up on from last week first was one of the things about working in technology, and you mentioned it, is it's always changing. Everything is different. Nobody gets to stay static in what we do. And like you said, you're coming up on 30 years from when you were a student there. You've been there. How would you, this is a loaded question, because obviously the technology we work on has changed a ton in that amount of time. The paradigms are different in a lot of things. How do you, yourself, go about staying current and making sure that you're making good decisions about technology selection? How do you make sure that you are staying up with where technology is moving and changing and making good decisions about it for your institution?
Yeah. Well, besides having trusted integrators, people that we worked with for a long time, and kind of rely on some of their knowledge also, because, I only work here, so I only know as much as we've used and as much as I can read. But if I can be part of working with my integrator or some dealers that are really out there working at other schools or other organizations, they can kind of see trends too. So that's one way. The other way is organizations like HETMA and ETC, and being involved with them, reading forums, posts, having conversations, webinars. Those are great ways too, because they're all going through the same stuff, trying to figure out how to replace their projectors with TVs or this with that. And what's, architects, they may make one decision, but they don't sit in the classroom like I do. And so we hear that a lot too, and have struggled with that on our own too. So we can commiserate with people that are dealing with the same thing and figure out what actually works and what doesn't work, and how to stay up to date with it. Reading a lot of articles online helps too.
Yeah.
Getting product demos helps too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I know, and obviously in the first episode, you talked about being a very process-oriented person, right? Like you mentioned, I've got time set aside for certain things. Do you literally build into your schedule time to know that it's going to be an active process for me to have time to read those articles or do some of these demos and that sort of thing? How do you build that in? Or when you're coming up to decision making or to projects, go, all right, it's time for me to dedicate extra effort to that?
Probably more the latter. I definitely, as projects are coming up, start getting more up to date on what's happening. It would be a good idea to set aside certain chunks of time.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more challenging in the last few years here with our job. But, yeah, that would make sense. But try to slip it in whenever possible.
Yeah, it's so funny how I have always been a set aside a chunk of time type person, because if I don't, something will go awry. What's changed is the frequency that the chunks of time I've set aside are getting interrupted by things. You know what I'm saying? Like the week in and week out, I'm literally at the point I have to change something because here's my block out on my calendar for X. But man, when it comes time for X, that ability post-COVID and really in the last 2 years to hold those times has been so hard to do. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
about
that chunk of time needs to be able to shift automatically. So like if you had a block from 10 to 11 to read these articles on this particular website, but then you got a phone call or an interruption or an emergency, like now that time is gone, get that calendar to automatically shift that down an hour or find another open slot for you. That would
exactly. It's
too.
just hard to keep that stuff at that same level of like, I haven't finished my job this week if I haven't done those things, because they can always get pushed. They can always get moved. So yeah, I think that's something we all struggle with. So, and then for my own edification, one other question, because it really is an interesting thing for me for schools of various sizes and different things, which is, obviously things have gone from, analog wires to digital baseband things to whatever. Where does your college sit on AV over IP right now? What is your thought process on it? Are you all in? Have you moved? Have you not? Do you want to? Do you not want to? Where's Goshen and Mike in terms of the future being all AV over IP, or is that not actually going to be the case?
Man. We were talking about it a little bit this morning in this computer lab we were working on. Old DMPS, HD-based heat projectors, but it's not a big room. 2 projectors. What do we replace it with? AV over IP? I don't know. That seems like overkill in my mind. So I think that's kind of where I'm at right now, is looking at each thing individually.
Yeah.
And the space and thinking, what's the cost benefit to this? It's easy to say, this is the future-proof solution. But as we've talked a little bit about me being here for so long, I've started to redo my own projects and know that it's not really future-proofing. Putting in the DM cables or any kind of twisted pair, it's future delaying. It can be there a long time, but something will come around and push those boundaries at some point. So we have to be okay with knowing that at some point we will have to switch something out. So AV over IP, we have a couple of spaces. We did a building that won a HETMA award last year at the Higher Ed conference, and it was all AV over IP. And that has been a good example of a building that it made sense in based on the architect's decision, working with the faculty on how they wanted the ability of the rooms to operate.
Right.
Would I've designed it differently, knowing how they've used the space now? Maybe a little differently, but I think AV over IP was still the right decision in there because there's so many displays and so many source content possibilities. I still think there's going to be some other places on our campus that it elicit. If I just look at the products that are available now, it won't make sense cost-effective, cost-wise. Maybe something else will be coming out at some point.
Yeah.
And maybe someday it will all be over the internet.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, the one that you just gave, which is there are places and times still for different transports. And like you said, cost-wise, reliability-wise, maintenance-wise, what's the right decision for this? And there are places, and I understand, places that go, no, look, we're going all AV over IP, but it's usually a scale decision, which is we're standardizing, we're moving our AV deployments to mirror other basically enterprise IT deployments that we have. And now there's a pathway to do that, but that doesn't make sense for everywhere. And the other thing you said that's very interesting, because we've like I said, we're coming to the tail end of a couple years of a lot of building projects and we've got a lot of AV over IP stuff we've done, and some we do and some we don't, which is the difference between the thoughts of how people are going to use something and then how it actually gets used. And invariably, the thoughts or the dreams of what people are going to do involves more variation and dynamism, or more dynamic ways that in reality, sometimes that settles back into more of a static thing. And keeping that in mind in terms of design for the future is an interesting place to be in, for you to be the one in the room going, yeah, I know those are possibilities, but have we really seen that from any of our people? Do we really anticipate it's going to happen? And what's the cost benefit of it is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like relationships play a big part into it. And I've had better success when designing a room or a space, a renovation or something in-house here with facilities or people that know me and can trust me to say like, okay, this is what you want to do in this room, but I really think it needs to have, say, we need to put speakers into this lab.
Yeah.
Somebody might be saying, no, why would you spend money on that or whatever? It's like, well, because I know that the people that are going to be teaching in here are going to be asking for this.
Yeah.
But then there's other people sometimes that come in as, consultants or architects or whatever on bigger projects. They'll come in the room and they'll listen a little bit, but, we don't have that relationship and trust to know like, okay, yeah, if I raise my hand and say like, really? You don't want to do any projection? You only want TVs? Well, how will that work? Because I know in the places where we've done that, some of these places, it hasn't worked out real well. That can be harder if you don't really know each other and have a relationship there to start with.
Yeah, I mean, that goes into one of the things that's such a common theme, which is for all the technology that we deal with, it is relationships between people that make decisions, and dealing with that very thing right there, which is I live here every day. I know where the people are at, and the profit from the outside, sometimes the profit from the foreign land. And oftentimes they're good people who actually are trying to bring what they think has been successful in other places, or maybe really has been successful in other places. But why that on-prem expert in what we do is so key for institutions, because trying to bring it down to what is going to be most relevant for the culture of your campus and of your people is such a valuable thing. And the interesting part of now that I've gotten to go to so many campuses and see so many different people and see such similar technology installed, but it literally is flavored a little different everywhere. What they choose to put in, what options they let you have is different. And so anyways, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great
and
point.
The ones that, like the consultants and the groups that are able to sit and listen to us and want to hear what we have to say and learn our culture a little bit, those are the ones that we, we'll work with again and invite back
to.
The other ones,
Meh.
It's a one and done probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And people do a good job these days, I think, of being able to cultivate that. And the value of it is out there where, we're in the same way. We as, my colleges, we're basically 100% in-house integration. We do get design help on things every once in a while, but it's usually basically, here are all our parameters, here's the things, and we want help with somebody doing the drawings, and things like that. But we have contractors that, we have worked on our projects, architects that have worked on our projects. And now not just from a tech standpoint, but from with our facilities and things like that, those relationships and the level of trust has been built that they become the go-to people when things come up because of the relationships that have been built and their willingness to understand us and also challenge us when they think we need to be challenged. So there you go. Sure. That's sage advice from Mike. All right. So I'm already wasting because I have my whole questionnaire I do for the second half, and we're already almost halfway through the second half. So I don't know. I might have to bring you back.
Shorten my answers down.
What's that?
Shorten my answers up a bit for you.
No.
Okay.
We never run long because of the guest. We always run long because of me, because you hear me, you answer something. I'm like, yeah, that's a great thought. And then I just want to run with it. And you go, oh, that's right. You're the host, not the guest. Yeah. Stop talking for a minute, brother. You know what I'm saying? Take it easy. So,
but you're doing a good job of like listening to the answers. Like, right, I was telling my students yesterday, they have to work on a professional interview assignment soon, and they have to come up with questions. They have to interview them. And I said, you want to make the conversation free flowing a little bit, like have the questions you need to ask, But if you hear something that they've answered and that triggers another question for you, like bring it in, talk about it. Don't just be asking question 1, thank you, asking question 2, because that'll feel really cold. And then like the idea is to get to know somebody that you're potentially wanting to connect with for future internships or connections for other places to work someday. So like you want to kind of break down those barriers a little bit. Like you don't have to be so rigid in your questions and answers. So
absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. And you're right. Like that skill is such a key, especially in the era of generative AI and stuff where written in other ways, like it is truly that. And so now you've mentioned a couple times the class you teach. So what is the class that you're teaching? I love when people in our sphere are also faculty or involved in direct student instruction and things like that. So what are you teaching? How long have you been doing it? Give us the whole story.
Yeah, so the class this semester is called Career and Calling. And so it's a required 1-hour class. It's not everybody's favorite that they would choose to take, but I think there's a lot of value in it. Yeah. And so all the first years are required to take this. It's one of the core classes that they have to take. And there's 8 different, so there's multiple, like a team of us teaching it. So I have a section of 19 students and there's, 7 others. And, somebody else is kind of the core director and helps produce the content that we have to teach. And then we kind of take it and fit it for each of our sections. But it's working on interview skills, writing a resume, LinkedIn profiles, interviewing somebody in the field they potentially pursuing or thinking about pursuing. So that's the spring. In the fall semester, then I co-teach one with a teaching faculty. It's a little bit more about learning about their identity, culture, and community, it's called. So it's a little bit more about reading and writing books and think about getting ready for school and preparing to like enter a new community and how do you get along with people and how do you figure out where you fit in this community, who you are, what's your identity in this new era, the new place that you're living.
That's
so
awesome.
I've been doing that for 8 years. So I enjoy that. That was another one of those things where like they've done this for a number of years before that. And at some point I was like, might be interested in teaching a little bit more formally, like see how it is. And the way they had it set up was that a professional staff or administrative staff like I am gets paired up with the teaching faculty in the fall semester. And so we can help, we're there to help, but we don't create the content. We don't lead the class necessarily on our own. And so for somebody who doesn't have a teaching background necessarily, it gave me an opportunity to try it out and see, do I want to pursue this a little bit? Which then led me to saying, yes, I do, and getting a master's degree and continue to do it for now 8 years, and then leading a May term in a couple of weeks here. It feels like it's a couple of weeks, teaching a completely different class for 3 weeks on my own again. So, so it's been kind of fun to, sit on the other side of the tech side in the classroom.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? To be in the saddle, not only with the technology, but really live in a place where, like you said, it's you and 19 students, and they're looking at you, and what's going to happen in that section is you are going to be the leader of what that is. That's really cool.
Yeah. And another piece that I've really liked about it is it's helped me build some credibility for myself in having relationships with the faculty and administrators here to say, okay, I could just be coming in and saying, okay, this is how you need to have the classroom furniture arranged. This is what we need to buy. This is what we need to do. But to actually say, okay, so like when I teach the classes here or here, they can maybe understand a little better and say, oh yeah, okay, because you also are on that side and you don't just want to throw technology at me for technology's sake, but you can help me find ways to use what's available to enhance the learning for the experience of the students.
Absolutely. In any place, right? Experiential, speaking from a place of experience is speaking from a place of authenticity in a way that just can't be replicated. That's awesome. That sounds like I love, I want to teach a 1-unit class called Career and Calling. That sounds awesome. All right. That is one of the things I think that's very cool at universities or college, things, especially smaller ones like you, where students are coming in, they're coming into a tight-knit community. It's going to be 4 years, right? So you can build those sequential things in versus where I'm a community college, you have people coming and going, and we do a lot of like first year experience and things like that for our incoming 18-year-olds, but we have just as many 40-year-olds retooling their careers and things like that. And it makes me spark. Like, I think that group could use just the same sort of experience, but maybe we don't tailor things for them. So
they could certainly use career advice too, right? Like, why are they back at a 40-year-old? Because they're probably questioning the same thing the 18-year-olds. Like, what do I want to do? What do I want to be when I grow up? Like, how many people actually answer that?
Well, they're there for a reason. Yeah, like they signed up, they've come back, they want to retool a career, and they're usually there for a program of a certain type. But if they jumped in somewhere out of high school and they've been working as, say, an electrician all that time, and now they may not have interviewed for a job ever, or for many, many years, in resume or LinkedIn. Yeah, see that idea right there. I may just go tell people we need to do that, and here, I'll help you do it. So. You may have just developed a new program for Amplify College. You have no idea. That's awesome. Cool. Well, again, now we're 20 minutes in. Oh, no, and you mentioned master's degree. What did you get your master's degree in?
In education. So Master's of Science in Education from Purdue.
Nice.
With learning, design, and technology as the focus.
Perfect.
So it was like instructional design, really.
Yeah. So mine too. That's one of the most valuable things. It was such a hard decision to say, we're going to take the time to go get my wife and I did it at the same time.
Oh boy, even harder, right?
Yeah, but she did a Master's of Education. It's an ME, but she works in or an MEd, but she works in human resources. So it had a different concentration. And I was Master of Education in educational technology, which was very much instructional design, like you said. So we had crossover in some of the core classes and we got to do them together, and some of that stuff was fun. But it's been so valuable in terms of that sitting with faculty, sitting with deans, talking about things and using the language that they use. And at a community college, you could be sitting, it's not all PhDs that are teaching around there, while we have our fair share, to say, I know you've got a degree in that, but I have the same thing. And just because I come from professional staff side, I think I would throw that out there to everybody. It can seem like a big decision, but doing my master's degree has been such a huge value. And I'm so glad that we took the time to do it. So.
Yeah. And I was grateful that I got support here to do it as well. Like that, it would be bad to not recognize that, part of, I think, a big reason of why I'm still here and stayed here for so long is because of the support I'm always getting to try and stretch some of these new things that I want to try. Like, do I want to get in the classroom? Sure. Do I want to maybe teach? Yeah, maybe. But I don't want to quit my job, get another degree, and then find out I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. That's expensive too. Yeah. And could hurt the relationship. So being supported here to do that sort of stuff has been great.
That's awesome. Yeah. Educational institutions are great about that. So I think smaller ones are better at it, where bigger ones, there are opportunities, but it's as a policy is written somewhere that you can get XYZ taken care of. And smaller ones, you can have that, but then also talk to people about what you'd like to try, and do and put effort into. And a lot of times, there's a human on the other end who will understand what you're trying to get to and help you do it. Cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, when's that PhD starting?
Yeah, that I don't know. We'll see. Maybe after the last kid graduates college or something. I've got one in college and one in high school right now. So there's still a lot of family stuff that we like to be able to have time to do. Yeah, and I know that program, any of those could be even more challenging. But yeah.
But what fun! That's cool. Well, I always ask now, anybody with a master's degree, I ask that because you've been in there, and congratulations, you've got kids in college and that. Yeah, you got a little time under your belt on that one, but that's cool.
There was one program I was looking at doing that I could have added like one more year and gotten the doctoral right away, but I was like, before starting it, you don't really know. Like, I'm not sure I want to take that extra year. Yeah. So
cool.
Who knows?
Well, when you end up doing it, it's like, I'll show up to your graduation. But when you get, but isn't there a special term for when you get your PhD?
Like you have to defend.
Yeah, there's that too. I don't know. It's
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's never mind.
Part of to learn about it probably.
Yeah, this is that part that I have to cut out when I start to say something and I can't remember. And then the best part is if I say, hey, this is a part I'm going to cut out, then Riverside will go, oh, hey, this must be a part he wants to cut out. Here's the suggested part of it. Okay. So again, now we're 20. This is the first time this has ever happened, right? Where I start with some follow-ups from the first episode before I get into my questionnaire. And we've really blown the entire thing, which is awesome. I love it. It's like where you're like, like you said before, throw your plan doesn't have to dictate what the conversation is. You know what I'm saying? So I may have to
be willing to fluctuate or deviate from it.
Yeah. I may have to, I'll give you a break, but I may have to come back because there's some questions in here I think that would be interesting for you. But on this, it's the same last 3 questions everybody gets in the second one. And usually we've gone through a progression until we get there, but we're there. So here we go.
Right to it.
Now, the same last 3 questions for everybody. So the third to last question is, what is a question you wish people would ask you, but nobody ever asks?
Yeah, let's see here. Wish they would ask me. Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. What do I wish people would ask me?
Here's the awkward part. I don't mean to interrupt you because I'm also going to give you a little time.
You give me time. Yeah, all right.
Well, usually we've led into some little more introspective questions to lead you up to that, and you haven't had that advantage. You know what I'm saying? You're getting thrown into a cold.
All right.
So
it's
usually
okay that it's an unfair position to put me in.
That's what I'm saying. That's a hard transition because we didn't do what's something you're really proud of. We haven't done talking about being an introvert or an extrovert, and really, you're already pretty introspective, so we haven't had to do a lot of that. But what's a question you wish people would ask you, but nobody ever does?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably need some time to think about that. Unless I don't want to get real deep about it and just think like, well, people don't often ask me what I actually want to, where to actually go on vacation or something like that. Usually there's like other ideas out there already.
Okay. So you're saying people to ask you where they should go on vacation, or people ask you where you like to go on vacation? Or is that the same question?
Yeah, probably more often just ask where would be a good place. But if I had to like choose, I don't know.
All right. Well, where would be a good place to go on vacation?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess Hawaii would be a good vacation since we are going to be going there soon. But I also didn't get to choose that, so it just happened.
Well, you just tripped over something and a plane ticket to Hawaii fell in your hand, or how did that happen?
This May course that I'll be teaching is with an organization, Mennonite Disaster Service, and so we're doing recovery, building houses. But when I signed up to teach the course, we didn't know where we'd be placed.
Oh, wow.
And so they came to us instead a month or two ago, like, okay, this is where you're going to be going. So like, okay, sounds good, I guess.
So the May intensive you talked about is actually in Hawaii.
It's actually in Hawaii, yeah. So not technically a vacation, but my family and I are going down in a couple of weeks to actually vacation and learn the area a little bit. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I didn't really get to choose, but sort of chose in a way.
Here's the thing, though. When talking about things like that, there's so many options. Like it's almost impossible to make a choice or think you're making like. Right. The human mind isn't built to decide between 50 options, right? We have to do something to narrow it down. So sometimes that's helpful. Okay, so where in Hawaii are you going?
It's so on the island of Maui in a town called Lahaina. And so they had some devastating fires in 2023 in August that pretty much wiped out the community. So the group's been there. There's a long-term recovery group that's been there. And MDS has been there for a couple of years now, just building houses so that the people that lived there can still live there and have a place to live again.
That's fantastic. So talk about talk about an experiential learning thing for college students and for you to be a leading group in that effort. That's fantastic.
Yeah, because that's exactly what the course is. It's meant to be an experiential learning, like community engaged learning, right there.
Exactly.
As part of one of the required courses that they have to take.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right. So you can commit now to, either coming back and doing a recording about the experience, maybe filing some articles from there. Like, can we put you on record here in front of everybody that that sounds like an experience would be fun to share with the other people.
Yeah. Probably not a lot of technology involved.
No.
But I'll be bringing some technology along to help teach the course, I think. So we'll see if I can fit everything in a suitcase.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing about that. That'd be fantastic. That'd be great. Okay. See, that's a great otherwise I never would have known anything about that, right? Because you even mentioned the May intensive and I just assumed you meant something on campus. And that's why that's a good question. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Second to last question is same. If people wanted to get in contact with you, talk to you about the things you're working on, or keep in touch, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah. Well, I've probably mentioned LinkedIn a couple of times because I do work with that with my students, and so I can be found on there, Mike CSM or Michael McHugh or Mike McHugh. Or some way or another.
Yeah.
My picture on there is pretty recent. I updated it since the old one was there for a long time.
Cool.
But I do get on that a lot. I'm more of a consumer of other social media and don't post on all the other ones as much. I more just read. Yeah. It's a lot to try to keep up with, and I don't always think I have the most interesting things to say that everybody wants to hear about. So why spend time everywhere?
I used to
saying the same thing.
I used to spend a fair amount of time on that, or try and post things and be out there. And if you look at my social medias, there's almost nothing going out on there anymore. You cannot keep up with it anymore.
Right.
I totally
like you said, at some point, maybe it was in the first half hour. It's like,
yeah,
building a reputation, building consistency. That's how you get followers. And like,
yeah,
I could never do something so consistent that was worth following me for.
Exactly.
So.
Cool. Well, you're helping other people build consistency. Which is
there you
cool.
go. Right.
There you go. All right. Well, we will put the link to your LinkedIn in the show notes, and everybody please go connect with Mike on there. And so finally, the last question, which is the kind of original first-time news broadcasters often used to have a phrase they closed their newscasts with, like "good night" and "good luck" or something like that. So what is Mike McHugh's drop the mic sign-off phrase?
Boy, I don't know. It's probably not very good. I mean, I usually, instead of saying like goodbye on the phone, I just say see ya.
Thank you for listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Join us again for next week's episode when we'll welcome a new guest who you'll want to hear from. We promise. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.